is aimed at enjoyment. That's what he says, the heaven as the fruit. Heaven as the fruit means enjoyment as the fruit. So, actions are done for the sake of enjoyment. Actions are done for, most of the time, either it is for enjoyment or to avoid restlessness. There is nothing to do, there is so much restlessness. To avoid the restlessness, you start doing something. Desire-ridden, the nature of desire-ridden action is this. Different from what is it that you ought to do. Obligatory actions. Performing those kind of actions is going to take you to self-realization. That's the topic that we are going to currently deal with. Desire-ridden actions are actions driven for enjoyment. I do an action because I want enjoyment. I avoid doing it because again for the same purpose. I do something, a human being does something, a human being avoid doing something, both because of enjoyment. Now, that is the nature of desire-ridden actions. And to pursue the desire-ridden action, the human mind will go to any extent. To the extent of quoting the scriptures to support its desire-ridden actions. That's what he says. Veda Vada Rataha. They speak, they quote the Vedas, but their focus is on enjoyment. Their focus is on enjoyment. Ramakrishna Paramhansa gives this example. It's like the vulture, he says. It flies so high. Looking at that height, you think it has reached looking at the height at which it's flying, looks like it has reached a very high level of growth. Ramakrishna says, don't get carried away by that, because the eyes are still looking at the rotten flesh below. Might be at that height. Where is it looking? That is desire-ridden actions, quoting even the scriptures, quoting even the Vedas. The scriptures, the Vedas, in the modern day context, understand as God. Because nowadays we have lost touch with the Vedas and the rituals. So in the modern day context, you have to understand it as God. So even when you go to God, even when you are facing God, even when you are so-called believing in God, all that is for what? In the hope that God will fulfill your desire. That's all he's saying. Desire-ridden actions. So we think, all these people are talking about Vedas and rituals. We are not of that kind, so we don't belong to this category. Replace it in the modern day context. The principle remains the same. What is the principle? The principle is this. Even if you are in contact with the higher, the mind is still attracted to the lower. That's the concept. Again I repeat. Even when you are in contact with the higher, the mind is still attracted to the lower. What is getting attracted to the lower? How to fulfill my desires, likes and dislikes, and the role of God is to support that. So they will do anything and everything to please God, so that pleased God, that happy God will support your desire-ridden actions. That's what he says. They do the rituals, they do in those days they were doing all that. Nowadays we are not doing those rituals, but we are doing exactly the same. So understand it in the way that we do. What is it? Desire hidden actions. Desire hidden actions is done to please. You please the higher authority, your wishes get granted. Keep the boss happy so that he will not torture you, you will not get into trouble. It's exactly the same thing, that's all. Here is the difference. The boss is shifted to an entity called God. Beyond the point, it doesn't really make any difference because the focus is on fulfilling. The focus is only on fulfilling desires. Desires meaning enjoyment. Desires meaning enjoyment. The whole talk is always about enjoyment. 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 You should do that which we should do what we like to do, no sir, in life. Vedanta says you should do what the language itself is different. The world, the language is, you should do that which you like to do. I am very passionate about it. Simply like, that's all. Use another word and believe that what you are doing is correct. Here the language is, you should do that which you ought to do. That which you ought to do will be always in conflict with your likes and dislikes. Because that which you ought to do is of higher in nature. That which you like to do is always of lower in nature. And definitely there is going to be a conflict. In this conflict, what wins? In this conflict, what wins? Supposedly, ideally, the higher should win, but tragically, the lower alone wins, correct? Always. The lower alone wins. Vedavada rataha. They use the Vedas. They perform various rites. They do all this. Which heaven has the ultimate. Heaven has the ultimate goal. Heaven has the ultimate goal means, heaven means enjoyment. Enjoyment means whatever I do, there should be some, what is desired in action? Desired in action is that where you need a confirmation, you need a conviction that you will get something. It's desired in action. You will get something, that's all. What you will get will differ from person. What you will want will differ from person to person. But nevertheless, the attitude is one of what I will get. At least I will get moksha, no sir. But you have to ask for something through the action. That's called desired in action. Completely different from that. Exactly opposite of that is the one. Desireless actions leads to self-realization. 45 to 53. When you reach verse number 53, you are supposed to be self-realized. Ideally speaking, theoretically speaking, that's where the drama of realization and all comes, and you are actually realized, and you will talk like a self-realized person to Arjuna's question. That's the prajna portion. Now the topic. Desireless actions leads to realization. Desireless action leads to realization. verse number 45. The Vedas deal with the three gunas. Be thou free, O Arjuna, from the three gunas. Free from the pairs of opposites. Remain ever in sattva. Free from acquisition and preservation and established in the self. Yeah, yes, sir. Swadharma and desired an action. Swadharma and desired an action. Swadharma is a field of activity that is conducive to your nature, the nature which you have acquired from the past. That is Swadharma. Likes and dislikes is by acting in that field what I get. Again I repeat. Swadharma is a field of activity conducive. Conducive for what? It's implied here. Conducive for your evolution. What is likes and dislikes? Instead of using that conducive environment for evolution, a person uses that conducive environment for fulfilling his likes and dislikes. What is Swadharma? It's not a desire, a nature. Like, to bring in the I want material wealth, let us say. The nature will determine how I pursue that. The nature that I have will determine how I pursue that. Desire for wealth. A tamasic nature will pursue it in a very tamasic way. What is pursuing wealth in a tamasic way? Maybe I can steal, maybe I can smuggle, or maybe I can buy a lottery and win. Pursuing the nature of pursuing wealth as that. If you are of a different nature, you will say, I will not do all this, but I will work hard and earn for myself. That's also another nature. Another kind of nature is the highest. What is the highest? What is the highest? What is highest? Selfless action. The capacity to question the very desire itself. The first two categories, the desire is not questioned. Actions are done to pursue the desire. In the highest, the nature of desire itself is questioned. Now comes the connection. Now, you can't keep questioning, contemplating the whole time. So, a person needs a field of activity also that will not take him away, that will not cancel, that will not nullify the effort that he is putting in. Are you able to follow what I am saying? In what? In questioning the desire. What field of activity will be conducive for that? Your swadharmic activity. Because a swadharmic activity is such that the doing itself is kind of satisfying. You really don't have to do anything extra, where the doing itself is fulfilling, satisfying. Swadharma karma, swadharmic field of activity comes in at this point of time. Again I repeat. You question the very basis of your desire, likes and dislikes. When you say you question, just because you question, it doesn't mean it vanishes. The desire keeps coming back. Now, the effort that I do to question, contemplate, gain knowledge is nullified by the way in which I am acting. In fact, that's the real tragedy today. You study, reflect, go back and do exactly the opposite the whole day. You study, reflect and go back and do exactly the opposite the whole day. Nothing happens. Now, what is Swadharma karma here? Where Swadharma fits in here? Not to fulfill the likes and dislikes, but a field of activity that will not nullify what it should not nullify, what it should not cancel. The reflection and the contemplation. Number one. Number two, the field of activity itself should aid the field of activity itself should aid your reflection and contemplation. What will help? What field of activity will help? Your swadharmic activity. That's the connection between swadharma and, actually there is no connection between swadharma and likes and dislikes. In the total scheme, this is where it fits in. Are you able to follow what I am saying? Ideally speaking, not ideally speaking, at the lower level, when a person has no knowledge of anything, what he will be doing? Pursuing likes and dislikes. To that person, swadharma, paradharma doesn't make any difference. Are you able to follow? That's why people come and ask, how to find swadharma? Let's first say what the goal is. Because we think swadharma means it's a very good career. It will help you to choose a career. I can make more. What is swadharma? Swadharma is a conducive field for activity for two things. One is, it doesn't nullify the effort that you put in contemplation and reflection. Number two, the very activity itself will aid in don't forget that, because it is reflection and contemplation, the effort. The activity today takes you away. The activity takes you away. In fact, it's not even an activity. The perception itself takes a human being away. 1 hour, 1.5 hours You sit and listen to something higher than reality, the futility of, even as you are listening, you are not listening. That's a different story. Body is only breathing. You are assuming that you are listening. That effort that you put to listen for hour and a half, the next activity or the following activities must not contradict, must not be in conflict, must not nullify. Are you able to follow? Today what is happening? I reflect, I contemplate, and then start doing exactly because the activity itself, instead of aiding the contemplation and reflection, is taking me away from it. It means what? It means,
I remain same as I remain exactly the same.
You remain exactly the same. Likes and dislikes are powerful. It means what? I have not made the effort to connect. I have not made the effort to connect my contemplation, reflection with my activities first. Then comes Swadharma. With my activities first. Only when I make that connection, at that point of time where I am trying to make that connection, Swadharma comes in. That's the connection. At that point only Swadharma comes in. Otherwise, activities are done, which is what is known as self-cancelling. Self-cancelling. Self-cancelling means this is also followed by likes and dislikes. That is also followed by I come for Vedanta class because
I like it.
I like it. Sunday kartala 7:30 class I feel like I'm missing something. It's exactly like the smoker saying, if I don't smoke, I feel. Is it an addiction or what? You follow what I'm saying? This is also a like, that is also a like. Where do you start? Where do you start? Study, reflection, contemplation is the starting point. The field of activity must not contradict. Number two, it should aid. It should aid. Now I'll tell you how it will aid. When you study and reflect, what do you study? What do you reflect? What do you study? What do you reflect? You should bring in the right attitude into action. That's what you study. That's what you reflect. That itself is very. That's very difficult to bring in the right attitude. As it is, there is the pressure of the desire. On top of it, there is the pressure that you have to bring in the right attitude. At some point of time, you will say, all this will not work. How to experiment? How to experiment with what I have, what I am studying and reflecting? Where to experiment? How to experiment? The field of activity is very important. If it is in your Swadharmic field of activity, it is conducive. Why? Because mind is not rebelling so much. This is the crux. Otherwise, the mind is rebelling. You need the cooperation of the mind. Since it is in its Swadharmic field, the fundamental rebellion is to some extent calm, reduced. That's how it works. That's how Swadharmic field of activity takes you to evolution. Are you able to follow? Otherwise, the mind is so, as it is, the mind is agitated because of the desire-ridden actions. On top of it, more agitations now. What? Bringing in right attitude, compassion. Now, what are all you need to bring in? And you look at that person, you feel, this man doesn't deserve all this. It is completely the field of activity, and it is not conducive. The mind is rebelling too much. The pressure of the mind is too much. As a result of which, I can never experiment. See, instead of using the word experiment, people say, I want to practice. You can't practice. You can experiment. Where you can experiment? In your Swadharmic field, you can experiment. How it will be? Because the mind doesn't rebel. The mind doesn't rebel that much compared to the other activity. In fact, that space you get is enough to push yourself up. Able to follow? That's the connection between how Swadharmic field of act, how Swadharma is conducive to your growth. The mind doesn't, in one word, in one sentence, the answer is, the mind also, correct, the mind also cooperates. Otherwise, you need to ask the cooperation of the mind too much. When you say too much, it is far above its capacity. It's far beyond its capacity. In that context, in that sense, Swadharma helps. Did I answer you in any way? Huh? No. You cannot call that, because the driving force behind that's why he deliberately keeps using the word the field of activity, because that which is driving that activity is your growth, evolution. So you cannot call it you cannot use the word like. You cannot use that word. In another angle, from another angle you can use it. You are not wrong. But then the concept has to be clear. What is it? It is driven by the field of I act not for the sake of fulfillment. I act for the sake of my evolution. Then the field of activity becomes you choose a field of activity that will be conducive. Conducive because you have already, mind doesn't rebel means, mind cooperates means what? There is a like. But we refrain from using that word. It is a like. Otherwise, I will never know how to distinguish between any other desired action and this. Mind cooperates because there is a like. But still we will not use the word like. Why? Because I will not know how to distinguish it from the other desired activities that I am doing. That's why there is a clear demarcation. What is a clear demarcation? The field of activity which is conducive for your evolution, growth. Are you able to follow? The very fact that the mind is cooperating means the mind is liking. Very rarely this combination happens. It's a very rare combination. That which you ought to do, your mind also likes it. It's a very rare combination, but then it is that which you like to do, that which you ought to do, the mind also likes it. That which you ought to do, the intellect is convinced, and the mind is also liking it. Now, it's called the confluence. It's called the confluence of mind and intellect. The ideal state it is. The ideal way of acting. If not, the intellect says, this is what you ought to do. Mind says, I don't like it. Somehow you can force yourself into doing it, but then that action is done with a lot of resistance. Now there is another thing which the mind says, I like it, avladhan. Don't talk about anything. I like it. The intellect says no. Again there is a resistance. Resistance in action brings the evolution, slows down your evolution. It's not that you cannot evolve, but it slows down. Where there is a confluence. What is a confluence? That which you ought to do and your swadharma karma is the confluence. Are you able to follow? When that confluence happens, actions are that the quality of that action itself is extraordinary. It's dynamic. You follow what I am saying? It's called the confluence. The confluence of mind and intellect. Instead of calling it as mind and intellect, because we are using the word mind, we are using the word like always in a negative connotation. And we will never want to use the word like in a positive connotation. Therefore, another vocabulary. Another word. That's all. What is it? We call it as swadharma. But then, the mind is cooperating. The mind is cooperating itself means what? There is a liking. I ought to cook. I like to cook, na? Rarely it happens. That meal will be an amrita for everyone else. Otherwise, I don't like these ingredients with which I have to cook, but I am cooking. I am cooking, but no one else is going to. No one is going to relish it. That's why I keep on asking. Did you like it? Did you like it? Was it correct? Because you yourself know that they are not going to. What is ideal? You ought to cook and you like it also, na? That combination is. Otherwise, you don't like to cook, but you cook because that's your bread and butter. My cousin is in the hotel industry, Arun. My cousin is in the hotel industry. Every time I ask him, now, hotel you are cutting, cooking, doing everything. Why don't you do it at home also? Why don't you do it at home? Now, it is there it is. There it is. Another word. Job. Another word. Another word. Anga adu velanna. It is work there. There is no, the mind is not cooperating. But then he is doing it because of something else. There are very few. There are very few. Take the example, like Sugen, for that matter. Morning, noon and night he can keep cooking. Morning, noon and night he can keep cooking. And he will never ask, is it tasty or not tasty? He will cook, but then it is so. He ought to do, he likes to, that when that combination happens, the agitations are less. When the agitations are less, the next day reflection and contemplation is of a different quality. Are you able to follow? So, the activity reduces the agitation, as a result of which the capacity to reflect and contemplate is high. Everyone has a potential. Everyone has that capacity to reflect and contemplate. It's not able to do because the agitations of the mind, the field of activity, or the very activity itself takes you away from that. That's why, now follow. That's why in the deepest core, everyone believes Vedanta can be practiced where you are, it can be practiced in offices, it can be practiced in home, in the street, the marketplace, everywhere. You believe? No, sir. It is not possible. It is not practical. It is not possible. Why? Because the mind is not cooperating. Are you able to follow? Is it okay? Okay. You had something? Don't use the word like for Swadharma. That's why the vocabulary is the vocabulary is, the word dharma is connected to that. It's not raga and dvesha. It's not raga and dvesha. The word dharma is connected to that. Meaning, it is supposed to take you to the higher. That's why he says, Shreyas, Shreyan Swadharmo. Swadharma gives you Shreyas. Anything connected to dharma alone will give you Shreyas. Shreyas means ultimate good. The Shreyas means the ultimate good. The ultimate good always comes only if it is connected to dharma. Dharma, that's why instead of using the word like in this place, they used the word Swadharma. Swadharma in English is much easier to explain it as the field of activity. The very fact that the mind is cooperating means it is liking it. But then there is a difference between the two. Okay? Yes. Yes. That's what she is also saying. It is a part of life. But then, what is driving, what is making me to act in that field of activity? What is it that is motivating me to do it? What is it that is driving me to do that? What? Again I repeat. Swadharma comes in, the relevance of Swadharma, the concept of Swadharma comes in under what? Under what condition? Under what condition? Swadharma is a conducive field of activity for what? For evolution. Are you? Is it okay? Therefore, I am not acting to fulfill my likes and dislikes. Incidentally, I am liking it. That liking is more incidental. That's about it. But then it is driven by the goal of evolution. It is driven by the goal of evolution. Therefore, it ceases to be a desire. It ceases to be a desired in action. It's no more a desired in action. It is action for the sake of evolution. Even though there is an element of liking in it. Even though there is an element of liking in it. What I ought to do is to speak. Take this example. What I ought to do is to speak. But I hate talking. Imagine that. I hate talking. Every time I get down from the car, my feet there will be a resistance. Are you able to follow? There will be a resistance. This is what I ought to do, and my mind is also cooperating. Instead of using the word like, he used the word, the mind is also cooperating. What will be the quality of this action? Are you able to understand the difference? Otherwise, I like to talk. Whether that's what I ought to do or not is no. Whether is that what I ought to do, that's no relevance. I like to talk. Since I like to talk, 9:15, 9:30, I continue. One day there is no class, I start feeling restless. If you are not feeling restless, you will feel abada. Sir, next break, when are you going on your next holiday? You follow what I am saying? It's driven by likes and dislikes. What is the ideal thing? This is what I ought to do. What comes first? Is it that I like to do comes first, or I ought to do comes first? What comes first? I ought to do comes first. Incidentally, the mind is also cooperating. Mind is also cooperating. What is the ideal way to function? Find a field where mind will cooperate. Choose a field of activity where the mind will cooperate. That's called Swadharma. Are you able to follow? Don't worry about where it is coming from, whether it is because of the past likes and dislikes. All that is not the point now. You have it is understood, it is implied that you are a bundle of likes and dislikes. You have likes and dislikes. So whatsoever you do will have the. Then what is Swadharma? Is there a possibility at all for a man to do something called Swadharma? Nothing becomes possible. But then it's not like that. Are you able to follow? All along I have been acting for what? All along a human being is acting to fulfill his own demands, his own desires, his own likes and dislikes. Now he has moved away from that. That itself is very painful. Mind will not cooperate. Mind will not like it. Mind will not cooperate. You need the cooperation of the mind for reflection, study reflection, and you need the cooperation of the mind for action. What they have done is, put in all your efforts in controlling the mind, in putting in that effort for your study and reflection. Let the field of activity be, not that much of resistance. Are you able to follow? That's the connection. There is an element of, there will be an element of desire in it, like in it, but not to use the word like, desire. You follow what I am saying? Okay? It's conducive, that's all. Conducive means the mind cooperates. When the mind is cooperating and the intellect has also understood, that's what you ought to do, that kind of action is called desireless action. And that desireless action leads to self-realization. Otherwise, you always have this problem. The chronology of action says, it is the vasana desire that backs the action. How can there be a desireless action leading to self-realization? You can understand desireless action after realization. How can there be an action called desireless action? It is still desireless action. Desireless action leads to self-realization. Okay? Now the verse. The Vedas deal with the three gunas. Be thou free from the gunas. Vedas deal with the gunas means the knowledge explains. The knowledge explains. Vedas means knowledge. The subject matter of the Vedas is the subject matter of the Vedas is the gunas. It's not just the gunas, and it is guna atita. That guna atita is saying, be thou free from the gunas. He's saying, be free from so many things he's going to say. First thing he says is, be free from the gunas. Second one is, be free from the face of opposites. This is the classic philosophical language. Be free from gunas and solito moonavathu word. He saying, remain ever in sattva. If you are really listening, you will feel like asking him what? Should I be free from the gunas or should I be remain ever in sattva? Permanently have to be in sattva. Whatever be it, we'll see all that. Free from acquisition and reservation and established in the self. Now, established in the self means not the state of self-realization. You are established in the goal of self-realization. Get that word clear. Established in the self means established in the goal of self-realization. Remain ever in sattva means as you are today, you have these three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. The way to be free from all the three gunas is to make an effort to be in the highest, sattva. Are you able to follow? The way to be free of the gunas is to make an effort to be in the highest. What is it? Sattva. Sattva means purity. What is purity? What is purity? Okay. What is impurity?
Desire.
That is easy to say. Huh?
Desire.
Desires, selfishness, impurity, ignorance. BP error. Blood pressure is rising. What question get?
What is this?
What is impurity? What is impurity? Huh? Attachments, likes and dislikes. Impurity is the motive that you bring into action. What is purity? No motives. No motives. That's why Ramatirtha says, everything in nature acts without motives. Only a human being has to have motive. Why do you need to have a motive? We'll turn around and ask, how can you act? So what is impurity and purity? The motives, likes and dislikes. See, the moment you bring in the word motives, rest all becomes synonyms. But then you can never use the word likes and dislikes and understand motives as a synonym. You follow what I am saying? So what is impurity? The motives. What is the motive? What are the motives? What are the three types of motives? What are the three types of motives? Correct. Selfish, unselfish, selfless. Remain in sattva means I make an effort to be aware of. Make an effort to be aware of what?
The three motives.
Of the three, what is it that is? What is it that is driving it? If it is selfish, unselfish. If it is unselfish, selfless. If it is selfless, stay in it. If it is selfless, stabilize yourself in it. Get yourself more established in it. Are you able to follow? Remain ever in sattva. Remain ever in purity. When you are doing that, you will become free from the pairs of opposites. What are the pairs of opposites? The pair of opposite means raga and dvesha. Likes and dislikes. The pairs of opposites means raga and dvesha. Likes and dislikes. Be thou free from the three gunas. First, as the teacher, as the master, he is setting the goals correct. He doesn't want to, even though he is going to give various paths and practices, he doesn't want to compromise on the goal. What is the goal? Be thou free from the gunas. Means the Vedas deal with the gunas. Be free from the gunas means be free of the Vedas. Who can say that? The man who has transcended, the man who is enlightened. He is the one who is saying. Be free of the subject matter of sattva, rajas, tamas, mind, all that is. Be free from the gunas. What are the gunas? The three gunas. Sattva, rajas and tamas. What is sattva guna? Sattva is transactive. Rajas is active. Tamas is inactive. The gunas are defined in relation to action. gunas are defined in relation to action. What is sattva guna? Transactive. Transactive means you are acting and yet not acting. Rajas means active. What is implied here? Active within brackets. What? Agitations. You are acting, but that actions are backed by agitations. What is tamas? Inaction. Now, work backwards. What is tamas? Inaction. Inaction means, carefully follow, inaction doesn't mean no action. Inaction doesn't mean zero action. Inaction means useless action. Yeah, it's a useless action. It's also a kind of action. It's a useless action. The child watching television from morning till night is an action. It's an action, but then it is useless. Are you able to understand that? Then you will not watch TV, no? If you are watching TV the whole day and telling the child it is useless, now what does it mean? What makes it useless? Why do you call that as useless action? Why do you call that as useless action? Why do you call it as useless action? You say it, no. It doesn't aid in growth. More clearer. I don't understand this. More clearer. Reading my license, slides. No value added. VAT, GST, value added. Why do you call it as useless action? First thing, it's a useless action. First thing it does is what to the child? What it does to the child?
It makes indulgence.
Saps the energy. First thing what it does? Laziness, sir. It makes the child dull. Correct. That's why it's called. That's why the television is called idiot box. Other 32 inches idiot box, 45 inches idiot box, smart idiot box. That's not a smart TV, sir. Smart TV, smart idiot box. I didn't say it. Someone said it. First thing, action makes you dull. Makes you dull. Another facet to it. It's not just that. Dull. Come up. What is the next thing it does? Doesn't dull. Not synonym. The next one doesn't allow you to think. That is dullness. Habit formation. First, it makes you dull. Come on. Come on. When you get on to the next activity, that what continues? That dullness, that lethargy is carry forward. You do an action that makes you dull, that makes you lethargic, and it continues into the next, comma, இதெல்லாம் superficial. Something deeper is happening. Boredom develops. Huh?
Addicted to that.
Huh? Inactive. It's useless because the only precious resource of life is wasted. What is that? Time. It's wasted. The precious resource time, the present is wasted in an useless action. Those set of actions are called tamasic actions. I am defining it. Now you go back and reflect and see how many actions of yours are tamasic in nature. Useless means what? Waste of resource. It is wasting the, what is the precious resource? The time. Time na? Present. Correct. Time na? See, time always means now, present. That's why in Karma Yoga they say, do it now. Do it now. Half an hour catchy. No, do it now, because it's not about the anxiety of doing. It's not about the pressure of doing. It's to get into an awareness. What is awareness? The precious present should not be wasted in, should not get wasted in useless action. Doing that is called tamas. Young as I am, when I'm having all the capacity and all that, let me acquire, sir. Later on, I will come to spirituality, yeah. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? This is tamasic in nature. Are you able to understand what tamas is? What is tamas? Useless action. Useless action means the action that makes you waste the resource. What is the resource? The human being's only resource is the effort that it can do in the present. And that present is wasted in something. It is called useless. This is called tamas. What is rajas? Action, but that action backed by a lot of agitation. Action backed by a lot of agitation. Whatever be the agitation, but then backed by a lot of agitation. What is sattva? What is sattva? Sattva is action. Sattva is action. Not just any ordinary action. Action at the dynamism is at the highest, and yet no agitation. That's what is called as yoga. When we go there, we'll read that. Verse number 48 and verse number 50. He gives the definition of yoga. Combine that, you'll get definition of what sattva is. Action backed by dynamism, but no agitation. It's called effortless action. It's called effortless action. The difficulty is effortlessness is the product of much effort. Therefore, he says, stay in sattva. The effortlessness doesn't come. That effortlessness will not come by listening to a discourse. Effortlessness will not come by anything else. Effortlessness is the product of much effort. Therefore, he says, that's the ideal state is that effortlessness, Arjuna. But how do you get there? By much effort. When you have to put that much effort, what will take you away? What will take you away? The raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. Therefore, free from the pairs of opposite. Remain free from the pairs of opposite, the raga and dvesha, the likes and the dislikes. Free from acquisition and preservation. Free from acquisition and preservation. Free from acquisition and preservation means stop hoarding. That's all. Stop hoarding. Stop hoarding. Acquisition and preservation in one word is called hoarding. Free from hoarding. Free from hoarding. How can we live, sir? In future, I should not become dependent on anyone, no? I should not become dependent on. So I should be self-sufficient, no? I should be independent, no? Therefore, I hold, acquire, preserve what I have acquired. This attitude of hoarding, is destructive. The attitude of hoarding is destructive. Why it is destructive? Why it is destructive? Because you believe your safety lies in that. You believe your safety lies in that. I have made enough plans, sir. Now I am free, yeah. You believe that your safety lies in that. Where lies your protection? Where lies your safety? Where lies your protection? Where lies your safety? That's the Vedic declaration. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. You protect Dharma, Dharma protects you. Where lies? Not in preservation, not in acquisition, but in Dharma. And what is Dharma? Dharma உங்களுக்கு தெரியாதா சார்? What is Dharma? Not right and wrong, not good and bad. What is Dharma? Your original nature, your true nature. That is Dharma. The efforts that you put to get there. Hold on to the Vedas, Arjuna, because it helps you to reach. At the same time, be free. To understand all this, the most simplest example is the pole vault. Remember the example pole vault? That's all it is. All that he is saying is, be like a pole vaulter. He cannot cross the bar without the pole, neither he can cross the bar with the pole. Clarity teaches you to what extent you have to hold, at what point you need to leave also. One man says, from the beginning, leave, leave, leave. You can never get to that height. Another man says, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on to the pole, that you can never cross the bar. Are you able to follow? One set of thinkers say, all these are, anyway, they themselves are declared all this is useless. Don't hold on to anything. You can never reach that height. Another set says, hold on to it, hold on to it, hold on to it. So you will hold on to it to an extent where you can never cross. Its ultimate example it is. You cannot cross the bar with the pole, neither you can cross the bar without it. That's why he gives that example. Pole vault na theriyuma, it's not high jump, he will say. It's not high jump because it is that height. To cross over, you need that height. The yogas, the Vedas, the knowledge gives you that elevation to go to that height. And then you need to leave it also. Why he is talking about all this is because he is taking you to the goal of self-realization. See, from chapter 3 Karma Yoga lens, the whole tone will be, the entire tone with which he is talking will be completely different. There you will find a very comfort zone there. Here it will be slightly, but then here he is talking about the highest. What is it? The Vedas deal with the 3 gunas. But the goal is what, Arjuna? Free from the gunas. And the way to be free from the gunas is stay in the guna. If you write down all these 3 and read, you will not want to read. You will not want to read Bhagavad Gita again. You will think, he looks more confused than. Be free from the gunas. Next statement he says, remain ever in Nitya Sattvastaha. Previous version he says, Nistraigunyo Bhava Arjuna. What a statement. So nice to hear. Next verse, at least 10 verses later if he says it, it's okay. Next word, he says, remain ever in Sattva. For effortlessness comes out of much effort. When you have to, when you can do that effort, not in future, when you can do that effort, or when you should do that effort, now, don't postpone, now. What takes you away from that? Raga Dvesha, likes and dislikes. Another thing that takes you away is acquisition and preservation. Acquisition and preservation combined in one word. It's called hoarding. You hoard because you believe safety lies in that. You believe safety lies in that. You are so convinced your safety lies there. That's why we put all the wealth in the safe, lock it, secret lock, I don't know what all, different kinds of lock, and finally do what? And finally put one chandan also. Yeah. Doing all that and finally put one chandan or stick one. Why? Because once you put chandan and stick the picture of The God, even if secret locks and all, secret number and all fail, He will take care. He will believe. Because you believe that your safety lies in that. What will protect you, Arjuna? Where lies your safety? Your safety lies in Dharma. Dharma means, in this context, the right attitude. As long as you are bringing in the right attitude into action, you need not fearlessness. You need not fear anything. What is right attitude into action? Selflessness. The selfless attitude. And that selfless attitude that you bring into action, which is called desireless action, leads you to self-realization. Are you able to follow the sequence? It's very simple. Explain பண்றதுக்கு easy அவ்வளவுதான். Practice is your problem. At least the story மாதிரி சொல்றது it's easy. You follow? Your protection doesn't lie there. You don't fear anything. There is no fear because you are following Dharma. What is Dharma? What is Dharma? The right attitude into action. Don't say right action. Say, when you say right action, you are focused on the action. When you say right attitude, your focus is on the inner nature. But the difficulty is, you already believe that your attitude is already selfless. Now what to do? That's why no one has any problem about their attitude, because everyone believes that their attitude is already noble, their attitude is already selfless, I don't know, true, pure, great, I don't know what all it is. Therefore, all the discourse that you gave, sir, they are already having it. No. Why still agitating? Why still disturbing? You are not bringing in the right attitude. You are not bringing in the right, though, don't worry about the right action. Bring in the right attitude. That's why you can write it down on the refrigerator and keep it. It's not what you do that matters, it is how you do it. It's not what you do that matters, it's how you do it. How means the selfish or unselfish or selfless. How do you know that you are selfless? The thumb rule is very clear. No mental agitation, no resistance to doing, unconcerned about the results. Unconcerned about the results. No resistance into doing. You live a life free from agitation. There you know you are. I am not agitated, sir. Unnecessary and the GST in solli, they caused agitation. What is GST? My friend sent the, no, he said yesterday. See that now. I opened that. Unless he calls me and says, I don't open the television. Open panipar, open panipar. GST. Gens Supporting Tax Bar. So comical it was. Generally I am not agitated, sir. But something from outside comes and agitates. Are you able to follow? What is selflessness? No agitation. Yeah. GST, XST, YST, nothing affects. Because you don't have anything, no. Only when you have something you need to worry. When you don't have anything, whether it is 100 or 100,000, what difference does it make? You don't have any desires. You don't have anything means you don't have any desire, any likes and dislikes. Therefore, whether the prices increases or decreases is of no consequence to you. It is of very high consequence to you only if you have a desire, and definitely you will be agitated. Okay? Free from agitations. Remain ever in Tattva. சரியா?